Like Real, by Shelly Lyons from Ghoulish Books, 205 pages, takes a doppelganger body snatcher archetype and brings it into a modern, social media driven, and increasingly AI augmented world, full of snappy dialogue and silly characters. I'd call it a weird, speculative rom-com with some horror elements to it. When our main character, Vic, Japanese swordplay enthusiast and developer/tester of a mobile app killing it 110%, loses the better part of his right hand in a less than heroic circumstance, he decides to forego traditional prosthesis in favor of an experimental new type of replacement from the shady Like Real company. As he attempts to adjust to and train his new semi-telepathic hand, he does his best to woo Tanya, a reporter interested in him largely for the potential to write a piece on his oddball story. Vic's hand becomes less and less obedient to his commands, and eventually seeks greener pastures on its own. This story began as a screenplay before it was adapted into a novel, and I could tell that while I was reading. Things are framed and set up in a very visual manner. Character descriptions are presented in a snappy way, consistent with what you might find when you're reading something produced for TV or film. It gives the writing a distinct voice, but I felt it could have been reined in a little in places for a novelization. I found myself rereading some passages a few times for clarity, just based on how colorful the voice was, but that might just be me being a dunce. The characters here are all quirky and fairly well drawn, if not totally endearing. Vic is fun to ride along with. I especially liked his mental gymnastics regarding the killing at 110% app, deciding that he was going to put 50% effort into a goal so he could accomplish said goal with 65% effort for a net of 115% completion. It was a great character wrinkle and oddly relatable. The other characters play their parts well in this slightly altered reality in which people sort of just go along with whatever is happening without too much resistance. The pacing here felt mainly consistent to me, but there are a few spots I might have liked to be tightened up a little bit. There seems to be a fairly definitive split in this book between pre-doppelganger and post-doppelganger parts, and I might have liked to see a little more in the middle of the separation between Vic and his hand, with some lead-up trimmed up for pacing. That said, a lot of that time is spent delivering gags and characterizations that are pretty funny and endearing. Vic likes Star Trek, so he's okay with me. I'd recommend this one for fans of lighthearted, weird horror. There are some sci-fi elements peppered throughout that were nice, and the interactions between characters here are pretty sharp and well executed. I feel that the jacket description on this one does a bit of a disservice to the story by kind of giving away more than it ought to, but maybe that's just me expecting more than I ought to. Check out ShellyLyons.com or GhoulishBooks.com for more information and to snag yourself a copy of Like Real by Shelly Lyons. Winston, what did you... Weird, where did that go? Oh, shit! Oh, God! Winston, what did you think of this one? Oh!
I'd rate Like Real by Shelly Lyons 4.5 bearded writers.